Have you ever wondered what would happen if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning? Just like that, no warning, no slowing down. It sounds impossible, something straight out of a science fiction movie, but the consequences would be beyond imagination. Today, we're diving deep into this apocalyptic scenario to explore what would really happen to our planet step by step. Stay with me until the end, because the last consequence will give you chills. And tell me in the comments, which of these outcomes do you think is the scariest? Before imagining the chaos, let's understand what's actually at stake. The Earth spins on its axis at an incredible speed, about 1,670 kilometers per hour around 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. That means, even as you sit completely still, you're hurtling through space at that speed. You just don't notice it, because everything around you is moving at the same rate. This rotation is what creates the cycle of day and night, governing not just our clocks, but the biological rhythms of almost every living creature on the planet. Plants open and close their petals, animals hunt and sleep, and even our own bodies release hormones like melatonin following this cycle. But rotation does so much more. It drives global wind patterns that distribute heat around the world, stirs ocean currents that regulate climate, and even shapes the planet itself. The centrifugal force from spinning makes Earth slightly flattened at the poles and wider around the equator. Without rotation, Earth would be a nearly perfect sphere. It took centuries for scientists to prove that the Earth truly spins. Galileo Galilei faced persecution for supporting that idea. And in 1851, French physicist Léon Foucault provided experimental proof with his famous pendulum. Today, ultra-precise instruments can even measure tiny changes in the planet's rotation caused by earthquakes or tides. Now, let's imagine the unthinkable. The Earth suddenly stops. Here's the problem. If the planet stops, everything on its surface doesn't. It's like slamming the brakes on a speeding car. Your body keeps moving forward. That's inertia. And in this case, we're talking about speeds over 1,000 kilometers per hour. Everything not anchored to the core oceans, air, buildings, people would be flung forward at unimaginable speeds. Buildings would rip from their foundations like cardboard. Forests would be torn out of the ground. Entire mountain ranges could shift. The oceans would experience the most violent reaction. Billions of tons of water would keep moving, creating mega-tsunamis, hundreds of meters high. These walls of water would crash across continents, reshaping coastlines and drowning entire regions. And what about the air? Earth's atmosphere would continue spinning at full speed, while the ground beneath it stood still. That means hurricane-force winds not at 300 kilometers per hour, like the strongest storms we know, but at 1,500, even 1,700 kilometers per hour. Winds strong enough to shred steel buildings and erase everything in their path. This apocalyptic storm would rage for maybe 30 minutes before the energy dissipated. But in that half hour, the face of the Earth would be completely transformed. Cities gone, ecosystems wiped out, civilization as we know it destroyed. To make things worse, that sudden halt would trigger simultaneous earthquakes across the world. The planet's crust would flex and crack violently. Volcanoes would erupt everywhere, releasing ash and lava on a global scale. Even deep inside, the molten core of the planet would shift irregularly, shaking the entire Earth like a bell. Once the chaos finally stopped, the Earth would settle into a strange new state, one half in permanent daylight, the other in endless night. On the sunlit side, the heat would be unbearable. Without nightfall to cool things down, temperatures could climb above 70 degrees Celsius and keep rising. The oceans would begin to boil and evaporate, creating a thick, suffocating atmosphere, heavy with water vapor. Deserts would spread across entire continents. Life of any kind would be nearly impossible. Meanwhile, The dark side of the planet would freeze solid. Without sunlight, temperatures would plummet to -50 degrees Celsius or lower. Oceans would become thick layers of ice stretching for kilometers. The air itself might freeze, some gases could liquefy, and literally rain out of the sky. Between these two extremes, there would be a twilight zone, a narrow band, where the sun would always hover near the horizon. This region might become the last refuge for life. The temperatures would still be harsh, but potentially survivable. However, survival there wouldn't be peaceful. Massive, unending storms would dominate this twilight ring as warm air from the sunlit side rushed to replace cold air from the dark side. Imagine permanent, planet-wide hurricanes circulating endlessly around the globe. Lightning storms, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even the water cycle would break down. Water would evaporate on the hot side, move through violent winds, freeze on the dark side, then melt slightly in the twilight zone. The result would be a chaotic, unstable climate, nothing like the balance that allows ecosystems to exist today. But perhaps the most dangerous consequence wouldn't come from the surface, it would come from inside the planet. You see, the Earth's rotation powers its magnetic field. Beneath our feet, the outer core is made of molten iron. As the planet spins, that liquid metal moves, generating a magnetic field, a gigantic, invisible shield that protects us from deadly solar radiation. If Earth stopped spinning, that movement in the core would eventually slow and stop too. Without it, the magnetic field would fade away. And without that shield, high-energy particles from the sun and outer space would slam into our atmosphere, stripping it away over time, just like what happened to Mars billions of years ago. Radiation would bombard the surface, destroying electronic systems, frying satellites, and making open-air life impossible. Communications, GPS, navigation all gone. The survivors, if any existed, would have to live underground, shielded from cosmic radiation, in a world that had become unrecognizable. Thankfully, this scenario is virtually impossible. The Earth has been spinning for over 4 billion years and will continue to do so for billions more. Its rotation is gradually slowing, yes, but at the rate of only a few milliseconds per century, because of the moon's gravitational pull. A sudden stop. That simply can't happen naturally. Still, imagining a world without Earth's rotation reminds us how fragile our planet's balance really is. That constant spin isn't just motion, it's what creates time, climate, and protection. It's what makes our world livable. So next time you watch the sunrise or sunset, remember that they happen because our planet is in motion, an eternal dance that keeps life possible. Now tell me, which consequence did you find the hardest to imagine? The violent chaos of the stop, the eternal day and night, or the loss of Earth's magnetic shield? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more science and space content. See you next time.